I tried to be fair, but you don't believe in doing your share. But I've learned my lesson, and now I can see the white guilt in my heart is dying away, is dying away. Your movies don't thrill me like they used to do. Your words only chill me, I'm glad that we're through. My heart was yearning, but now I can see the white guilt in my heart is dying away, is dying away. You fooled me a while, you thought you were wise, you even believed I fell for your lies, but the tricks turned on you. Now gladly I say the white guilt in my heart is dying away, is dying away. Your movies don't thrill me like they used to do. Your words only chill me, I'm glad that we're through. My heart was once yearning, but now I can say the white guilt in my heart is dying away, is dying away, is dying away.
I never hate my race, but until recently I didn't know history class was jacked completely. Found my new family with the team going free. My old family doesn't understand me, cause I am so pro-white, no coke, no Sprite. I am rolling with the bubbly, gonna be more white. I saw them twist history right before my very eyes. Insurrection Day, it's in the book and it's all lies. But now I am alive and well to tell it. But will generations down the line be able to sell it? I've always been a thinker on the search for both sides, but they label me an outcast and they cannot tell me why. Guess I'm just a black sheep, white boy who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all do bleed red. I have to protect my family. Why does affirmative action make them not hire me? Even in the countries where I'm the minority. Is my race just that awesome and no other could compete? Is that what the anti-whites are trying to tell me? Why am I always seen as such a threat? To the point they wanna strip me down till there's nothing left. Old friends from high school, man, I haven't kept one, but I got a new crew and it's where I belong. Cause if you ain't going free, you ain't rolling with me. And there are even anti-whites in my own family. But I am the one who's comfortable with myself. I try to save them from the hate so wildly raising hell. Cause I'm the black sheep, white boy who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all do bleed red. I have to protect my family. I heard If Scotland is too white, is Nigeria too black? Don't get your panties in a bunch, cause I have the right to ask. See, I'm the black sheep, cause I call it hypocrisy. And the media will give you emotions, but they will not give you honesty. Yeah, you have your feelings, but I have the crime rate. And I'ma shoot to give, there's a danger my way. So I do not blame the cops, just the ones who are cowards, who hesitate to pull the trigger unless it is one of ours. Cause he's a black sheep, white boy, who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all to bleed red. I have to protect my family, so I put my people to death.
And we are rolling in on this Wednesday evening. It's great to see everybody who decided to show up. Hello, hello. We're going to be talking about this submarine that has gone astray. And unless there's some brand new news, and you all can fill me in if there is, it is still astray. And these people will be running out of air very soon. And we wonder now how much of the cutting corners and difficulties that they might have are a consequence of the CEO deciding no white guys. Now, he did add the number 50, but what he means by that, of course, in my opinion, is no white guys, unless, of course, they can be of some sort of privileged group, such as a homosexual or a transformer or something like this. Then that, of course, would be acceptable to this CEO piece of garbage. But now he, and this is the way it should happen. If you're going to do something like this and lives are going to be lost, it should be yours. At least yours should be one of the lives that are lost. We have just a couple of pieces of business I want to mention here at the very beginning. This coming Sunday, there's going to be no gathering this coming Sunday. And that is because I will be at a conference. And so I will be back, of course, during the week next week, and we will have roll-ins and we will have roll-in shorts. And then the subsequent Sunday, I will return for a gathering, and it will be glorious as gatherings can be. And so keep an eye out for that. Let anybody know who didn't show up here this evening that this coming Sunday, we will not be gathering, but I will be back. I might do a stream from the actual conference on my phone, but we'll see. It would be a truncated stream of some type, or 2 or 3, who knows, if people will be interested. I would also have like to share a sad piece of news. A friend of ours, Tina Veek, she appeared several times on different shows here on my channel, and I appeared several times with her and her fiancé, husband. Tina Veek has passed away, and learned of this a couple of days ago. I didn't know if the rumor was true or not, but indeed it seems to be true that she has passed away. So my Promethean condolences to Eunice and to her family members who are left behind, and of course to the totality of the white sympathetic sphere who remembers her fondly. She was a very sweet woman, and we had a great energy together when we were on each other's shows. Really enjoyed talking to Tina. So it's very sad. Please prayers and energy, positive energy to Tina's loved ones, and let's keep her memory alive. So how is everybody else doing here tonight? Anna is here. By the way, you can find Tina's videos are still up on my channel when she appeared with us. I think all of them are still up. Sometimes YouTube comes in after the fact and they will cut things down, and they won't even notify me. That's how great YouTube is. The anti-whites at YouTube. Artificer is here. Yes, I know. He says, wait, what? Yeah, exactly. Anna, great to see you. Helio Sabbath says it's very devastating. JK160 saying, damn. Red Dog, so sad, so young, such a huge loss. Yeah, she was a real bright spirit, wasn't she? And she always had a very kind word when she and I spoke, and both publicly and privately. So she will be missed. Southern Bloom says, oh no, the name is familiar. I don't know what her channel ended up being called, because I believe she lost several of them. But you can find her, Tina Veek, TIINAWII. What is it? K what? Just K, WIIK. And if you search that on my channel, it should come up. Face of Flowers says, that's my mom's name. Samuski is here. Victorian Time Traveler is here. Real Raven is here. Spartan Lambda is here. Did she chat with Millennial Woes? Probably. Probably. I'll see if I can. Let me just see if I can. No, wrong place. All right. So. Okay. And just pull this out and we'll get into this story, and we'll be getting into that story in just a moment. Titanic Tours CEO Stockton Rush said he didn't hire 50-year-old white guys because they were not inspirational, as footage emerges of him. Now, what would be the reason that he wouldn't hire them? Because he's anti-white, because the people around him are anti-white, because it's an ideology that infects and animates the animal. That's the reason why. Because it is immoral to hire white people. I mean, we're talking even about getting to the point of things like operating submersibles, submariners, voyagers. And when you look at these people, what do you see in these photographs? Photographs after photographs, interviews after interviews. And you know the mainstream media, the anti-white mainstream media has gone out of their way to find non-white individuals to interview about what's happening. And even going out of their way with their millions of dollars, they still end up with white guy with a high forehead after white guy with a high forehead. Many of them are very, very fair-skinned. White guys with high foreheads, a lot of gray hair too, after a lot of work, a lot of dues being paid. And they're just like, why can't we find some like 22-year-old anti-white, syphilitic, lesbian, hermaphroditic with 2 missing legs? Why can't we find that? Transgender, homosexual. Why can't we find that to tell us about the science behind? Well, I wonder why. You get fed up with this shit. It's unbelievable. But before we do that, let's go ahead and have a look just quickly, and we can see here. And you can see Tina and even her husband Eunice. He appeared on this channel as well. For the love of God. Okay. And let's do this. All right, that's Tina. And there she is with Eunice. So you can find these videos on the channel if you would like to see her. You can't remember her. If you have friends with family of hers or close friends of hers, now would probably in the next couple of days be a good time to reach out. What a shocker that is. I tell you, she was so young, like vivacious seeming, wasn't she? It's terrible. All right. The other piece of news is that the great Jill Colton is unwell. She's become ill. And so we had to reschedule. She will be back next week. I'll have Jill Colton on, the former Canadian broadcaster, mainstream media Canadian broadcaster. We'll have her on and we'll be talking about fertility and older women getting pregnant and older pregnancies in older women. So make sure you're there for that. It's going to be a very interesting discussion. She knows quite a bit about it. Popcorn Power is here asking what was the cause of Tina's demise. I'm afraid I don't know yet. So if anybody does know, perhaps they can share and tag me. Azimuth Clark is here. Great to see you. There's the great Franklin. Phantom is here. Over the course of our roll in tonight, we have Entropy is up and running, and you may financially gift over there. In fact, if you do, maybe put like the word test in the question widget to see if that's working. I would like to see if that's up and running again. If not, we might have to make some adjustments. But if you have any problem financially gifting over there, please let me know that as well. You may financially gift in cryptocurrency. And over there on D Live, and it looks like Board Troll gave a lemon, and Do Over gave 1 lemon of cryptocurrency, D Live cryptocurrency as well. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Odyssey is up and running, and you may financially gift in their cryptocurrency or in cash dollars. And Wingets over there says, "Rest in peace, Tina." Amen to that. She always seems so happy when we had her on or when I was on her show. Did you notice that? She always seems so happy when she was with us or when we were over there. Phantom says, I saw a comment on YouTube that Tina had the injection, so that may have killed her. Oh, by the way, this is Euphemia. This is my new name. Oh, okay. Phantom of the Paradise. I'm going to have to try to remember that you are Euphemia. You might have to tell me more than once, but I appreciate it. Yeah, if she had one of the vaccines and, you lose your channel, you have your tongue cut out of your mouth, your throat cut open, throat slit from ear to ear by the anti-whites, because they support freedom of speech and they want fair play of ideas. So they like to shadow ban the out of you and wrap duct tape around your mouth so you suffocate and throw you in the back of a trunk, drive you out in the middle of the country, and then throw you in a hole in the ground, still alive, as they pour the earth down on top of you. That's what they like to do because they're fair, because they like a free exchange of ideas. Remember all the dumbass white people at universities and everywhere, really, at churches that gave in to be fair. It's your way. We're going to hold you to your principles, white people. Be fair. You have to let us talk. And now what happens? Well, people like me, people like you, told them, no, these people are not going to allow you to talk. Once they have control, they're not going to allow you to ever say anything again. And that's exactly what happened. Why are there no apologies? Maybe we need to bring back, what is it called? The stocks, put people in that thing, beat the living shit out of them in front of folks so that people can see, so that the children can learn, so that the little Johnny and Jenny can learn. Look at what happens when you don't listen to sane people. We beat the living shit out of you. Matt is here. Great to see you. Hello to you. European Man. That's a great name. Great to see. Cool Papa J Magic is here. I'm still not, my throat, my neck is still not better. It still hurts. Can you believe that? Insane. If it's not better by next week, I'm going to go to ear, nose, and throat and have them do something to me. Janice is here. Hello, sister, and welcome. Dominic, hello and welcome to you. I don't know who that person was, but my condolence to all those who knew and loved her. Samuski writes. Elaine Sabatino, hello, sister. Yes, it is so sad. The great First Last is with us. There he is. Loud and proud. Cool Papa J Magic said, I just watched a stream with her on it. God bless her family. Yeah, Cool Papa J Magic is a total star. Like Franklin went through and watched like every single video. And Cool Papa J Magic is doing that, going back through and watching every single video, just imbibing the Promethean spirit so that we can conquer the world. Evil Author is here. Hello to you. Helio says, Jason's face looks pristine. Well, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Fortunately, my neck is not, I don't have like a swollen neck like a bullfrog. I would have all these female frogs hopping around waiting to get mated. Oh boy. Hyperborean Dream is here. Hello and welcome. Dancing Cloud. That's kind of a cool name. All right, why don't we go ahead? Hello to everybody who is here. Why don't we go ahead and get started? And tag me. Oh, you may also financially gift on Cash App. I have that up and running as well over the course of this rolled in going free. And otherwise, please tag me as No White Guilt. And on any of these platforms, my name will light up various ways, and then I will see that it is you. Let's have a look at this. Have you all heard about this soda can? Have you all heard about this submarine that decided they give tours? And this is for, of course, the exorbitantly wealthy. That tours that cost $250,000 for your ticket, one ticket. 250. How many years? I've already done the calculation for me. How many years at your line of work does it take to net $250,000? It makes you think about the merits of this laissez-faire capitalism. Titanic Tour CEO Stockton Rush. Is this the one I wanted to start with? Yeah. Said he didn't hire 50-year-old white guys. In other words, just white guys if they're not in some sort of privileged group. Because they were, quote, not inspirational. And by that he meant just white. And he's anti-white. As footage emerges of him boasting a previous invulnerable sub-design to explore unsinkable Titanic. Stockton Rush, 61, the CEO of OceanGate Expeditions, once said, and by the way, my prayers go out, positive energy goes out to the families who are very concerned for their loved ones. I hope they make it back alive. They are trapped somewhere, if alive, with very few hours left of oxygen. There are some other concerns. I don't know. Perhaps you all can tell me. You can clear it up for me. Some concerns I have, like about carbon dioxide and how well is that washed with their supply of oxygen. In other words, could you still have enough oxygen but die from the carbon dioxide before you run out of oxygen? Or, did this thing have a catastrophic failure and there's just nothing to collect? Just pieces from an implosion, the weight of the water. But if they're alive, I hope they're rescued. That would be a spectacular, spectacular story, wouldn't it? In another interview, he said that Cyclops submersible was invulnerable. Russia's now missing on board that vessel, which OceanGate refused to put through independent testing. Now, people are making a lot of out of that. If you have something that is proprietary and revolutionary, the easiest way you get put out of business is by allowing potential competitors with lots of capital to find out what your secret sauce is. Because the moment they find out the secret sauce, they can then easily reproduce it and you're out of business. Nobody will remember your name and nobody will. You know how many times I'm sure that's happened in the white race? The now missing CEO of a company that takes passengers on board a submersible to see the site of the Titanic wreckage once told how he refused to hire 50-year-old white guys, so in other words, just white guys, with military expertise. Could you imagine? In America, it wasn't that long ago, across the West, it wasn't that long ago, that there was still enough of an echo, and this is something that I've been saying since high school. They would talk about the West and Western civilization, and you still see the Westerns, and I would tell people that's an echo. There's an echo of America left. There's an echo. It's fading. Every time it resurfaces, it fades. It wasn't that long ago that all you had to do was say military vet, lifelong service, and it was just like, okay, doors will open. You paid your dues, you showed you have your talent, and etc. And now we've gotten to the point incrementally by way of anti-whiteism that no, absolutely not. That's a white male. Are you crazy? And you know what? If you allow little white girls to get out there and have their sports without having to compete against biological males, all those white females will be joining in the chorus against the white males getting hired for jobs like running these submersibles in these companies, participating. Stockton Rush added in that interview with Teledyne Marine that expertise is not necessary because, quote, anybody can drive the sub with just a $30 video game controller. Everybody has been jumping to this video game controller and how it's like some sort of a substandard, pun was not intended there, but that would have been great, submarine because they use this little controller. No, that's the genius, probably, but I'm not positive, of white people that had developed this submarine so that it could be operated with a little game controller. That takes genius. The problem is that Stockton and the other whites that are involved there, and this is a field dominated by white males, happy to say, for now at least, the problem is that these people, they don't have a people to which they belong. They are selfish individualists. So once they develop a way to be able to operate something so that a king chimpanzee can come in there and flip the switches, they're like looking around for the most deranged, screwed up. Well, I guess I won't say that. We'll say epicene individual that they can find. And they want to install that person so that they can villainy signal to the world so that they can feel good about their anti-whiteism. They can say, look at how anti-white this company is. When he's saying inspirational, when he says inspirational to whom? When Stockton says white men are not inspirational to whom? He's revealing to you who his audience is, and it doesn't include white males. He wants to inspire everything else to come and participate because he wants to get rid of healthy white men. In another interview, Rush insisted the Cyclops vessel he designed before the doomed Titan was invulnerable, saying he was willing to, quote, put my money where my mouth is. Well, since he's got shit tons of it. Rush, the 61-year-old CEO of OceanGate Expeditions, is now missing on board his Titan ship, along with 4 other passengers, including British billionaire Hamish Harding. So you got a bunch of folks in here that were in this thing. I think there was an Indian guy. Let me see what y'all are saying. Traveler says they've been taken by the deep ones. They will live forever in the darkness at the bottom of the sea. And okay, Cthulhu till the end of time. Maybe so. Remember to tag me if you want to get my attention with a comment or question. Your stream keeps bouncing back to the beginning. That's been happening on Sundays too, Jason, says Elaine. Is anybody else having that problem? Thank you for letting me know. Sherry is here. Great to see you, sister. Is anybody else having the stream bounce all the way back to the beginning and begin playing so that it's no longer live? So there was a billionaire on board. Owning Anti-White Goblins is here. Great to see you. By the way, my joke about people not being diverse enough was not about Tina Beek. Right. It was about diversity hiring. Yeah, you were right. I didn't think it was about Tina. The Finn writes here that he thinks Tina took 2 of the Moderna shots. We don't know, though. Speculation. And a lot of people been dropping dead all over the place. First, last, being witty as always. Quipping with the best of them. He says, your health is nothing to sneeze at. Anna says, no, I guilt, it's true. Someone just told me that they were unable to subscribe to my channel when they tried several times on an iPhone, and I see people get unsubscribed every day. Yeah. Yeah, it's the anti-whites just doing their thing at these platforms. Keeping us down. That's all they want to do. Just want to keep us down so that they can continue victimizing Western kind, Western civilization. It's a great racket they got going on here. The great Azimuth Clark is here. And he writes, white well-being brings out the best in us. Yes, it does, brother. Amen to that. Phantom of the Paradise says, I saw a comment on YouTube that Tina had the injection. Yep, I read that a little bit earlier. So more confirmation. Brandon loves the movies. Hello and welcome. First Last says he has not had the bouncing back to the beginning happen for him. Yeah. Elaine says the diversity came back to bite them. Linda is here. Great to see you, sister. All right, so let's continue. So what do we have going on here? Let's just kind of sum it up, and then we'll hear directly from this anti-white POS. And that's how I feel about everybody who's anti-white. They're POSs. You have this company with science developed, if not entirely by Western kind, nearly entirely by Western kind, in my opinion. And and then you have selfish individualists, which this is not remedied by hating another group of people. You don't remedy selfish individualism by hating on another group of humanity. So when you make your plea to the white community, the white people, the people of humanity called white, we call Westmen and Western kind, that they have to have concern for some other group of humanity. You're speaking to nothing, the air, because this is what it's composed of. Now, could you imagine if the white race were composed of people who saw themselves as Westmen, members of Western kind, and saw their individual well-being achievable only by way of their group well-being? You would have these geniuses. All of them would be concerned to some degree with remedying the problem for our people, and that would filter down everywhere, would filter throughout society. But instead, you have all of these big money people, and I'm talking about big money people, whites. They don't give a shit. They don't care about us at all. They just care about themselves, their status, their wealth, maybe not even their immediate families that they're producing, families of their creation, but probably families of their creation. I mean, even Biden loves his crack addict son, or at least tolerates him. And so this is the kind of thing you then end up having is the big CEOs. Now, I want you to think about this when it comes to things like slavery in the West, which, by the way, Western kind put an end to on planet Earth, in my opinion. You could investigate it for yourself. But how does it benefit my poor ass in Virginia for this rich asshole to bring in people of other races and as best as he can to make sure that no white people, no white guys get a job at his company? How does that benefit me? That's the exact same thing that happened with selfish, rich white people who bought themselves slaves. It victimized me first. It victimizes the white race first, even before it victimizes anyone else who gets enslaved, because they're just being used. And I know that arguments can be made in many directions there. 61-year-old CEO of OceanGate Expeditions is now missing on board Titan ship, along with 4 other passengers. The vessel had not been heard from since early Sunday morning, and officials fear those on board now have less than a day of oxygen left. It has since been revealed that OceanGate refused to put the Titan through independent testing. That's not as material to me. Let's hear what this guy has to say, all right?
We had a 6-hour layover
Of course, a
in
commercial.
Rome, which was just enough time to tour the ruins. If we skip the line. Explore over 300,000 travel experiences.
That's like the vision of the future, isn't it? For like our modern structures.
You'll remember. Do more with Viator.
Hush says his submersible is one of the safest forms of transportation in the world.
You believe the Cyclops 2 is pretty much invulnerable.
By the time we're done testing it, I believe it's pretty much invulnerable.
And that's pretty much what they said about the Titanic.
That's right.
I mean, oh, the irony. Come on.
And I will go on all the first dives, put my money where my mouth is.
Chip Reed, CBS News, New York.
Let's see if they...
Nervous about deliveries?
For the love of God. Oh, the white guy that comes to steal the package off your black owner of the house porch. And then you have the non-white guy who's taking the message and the non-white guy who's standing in the front yard to save you from it all. God, anti-whiteism is everywhere. It's like I have been pointing at the sun all along to people. I'm like, look at that thing. And nobody gets it. Or you all get it. Team White Wellbeing gets it. Nobody else is getting it. It's everywhere. Let's get the sound back on.
How you guys do that and the importance of that to your organization.
Yes, I mean, when I started the business, one of the things you'll find there are other sub-operators out there, but they typically have gentlemen who are ex-military submariners, and you'll see a whole bunch of 50-year-old white guys.
Whole bunch of 50-year-old white guys. When you hear something like that, where else might you hear it? Where white people can come together ostensibly in opposition to anti-whiteism, and they'll still slander the white race. If they're going to slander any race, it'll be the white race. You see that in all of the conservative circles. They've got no problem whatsoever slandering white people. No problem what you see it on Hannity. You see Tucker will do it. They all do it. If they're going to slander a race, the only race they'll slander is the white race. And here you have, because why is that? The anti-white moral imperative. In anti-white morality, everything that white people do that isn't to the harm of white people is immoral. Anything that they do that harms white people is moral. That's why they call it virtue signaling, and we properly identify it as villainy signaling. It's their virtue. But of course, it's actually their villainy.
I wanted our team to be younger, to be inspirational, and I'm not.
I wanted our team to be younger. So he doesn't want white guys. He wants a younger team. So he's using younger as a euphemism for non-white and privileged group. You're not going to get hired no matter how smart you are, no matter how many years you've paid your dues. If you're white, you're not going to get the job. Look at what's happening in our once great country of South Africa and Rhodesia. It is palpable in every single industry, even submersibles. It is everywhere. That's what we should be talking about, is the discrimination and the persecution of us. In every conversation, not who might be behind it, not who, not some other race of humanity and how many times they've been behind things. It's our victimization that matters to us.
Not going to inspire a 16-year-old to go pursue marine technology, but a 25-year-old.
There you go. Shoot, I can't close that, I guess. So they're happily showing a little female. And that's how they'll begin this. That's the female looking way too young to have any idea of what's going on in this thing. But that's what they want. That's what he wants to do. He wants to inspire a bunch of individuals who are non-white, female, if he can't get them, and part of a victim group, which is a privileged group, to operate, to inspire you. To inspire who? White people? Nah, not going to be inspiring to us. To inspire non-white people. That's what he wants. White erasure in the submariner genre and education and school of thought and etc. Employment, white erasure. That's what this guy wants. And Rush is probably an English surname.
Who's a sub-pilot or a platform operator or one of our techs can be inspirational. And so we've really tried to.
She's so cute in there.
Very intelligent, motivated, younger individuals involved, because we're doing things that are completely new. We're taking approaches that are used largely in the aerospace industry, is related to safety and some of the preponderance of checklists, things we do for risk assessments and things like that are more aviation related than.
I wonder what group that guy belongs to.
Ocean related. And we can train people to do that.
It's going to be like Timmy is now Terry. And when he's Terry, since the name can be either or, he can just decide on whatever day he wants.
Train someone to pilot the sub. We use a game controller. So anybody can drive the sub. And we also want our team to have a variety of.
Look, we have so much inspiration here at our company that we have trained an orangutan to traverse the depths of the ocean. He just uses a gaming system controller. You have nothing to fear, unless he just goes ape shit in the sub and eats everybody.
A different background. You're going to go to the Titanic. You're going to be spending 8 days on a boat. You don't want every person to have the same experience of.
Okay, this is one of the things that piss me off to no end. What he's saying right there, you're going to go spend 8 days on a boat to sail out in a, I don't know what you may call this, like exploratory, what's a phrase for this, like vacationing, where the odds of dying are very high. I read that the contract that they have you sign lists on the very first page, 3 times it lists on the first page, you dying from this. And then it goes into detail of all the different ways you can die while heading off into the open ocean and then diving in a submersible down to the Titanic. So what are they saying there? He says, we don't want everybody to have the same lived experience. That's a meme pathogen for white people. When they say we don't want everybody to have the same lived experience, the same background, what they're saying is we want fewer white people. And then he essentially goes on to say, let's listen. He essentially goes on to say, well, we want people with these different backgrounds. Like, we want somebody who has no expertise here, but he swims for swam in college or something, competitive swimming. Who gives a shit? We want people who are competent, who have decades and decades and decades. I want to see nothing but white hair on everybody there. I want people with decades after decades after decades of paying their dues. I don't want somebody to be there because he grew up in the ghetto and I need to hear about how it looks to him through his lived experience. Any excuse to white erase. That's all it is. Any excuse they can come up with. And then you have all these other white sympathetics out there who want to blame other races. Look at the white race. Are you shitting me?
A variety of different background. You're going to go to the Titanic. You're going to be spending 8 days on a boat. You don't want every person to have the same experience of having been on a U.S. nuclear sub or worked for Atlanta submarines, and they all have the same background. We've got one guy who threw the hammer as a varsity athlete. We have one dumb who's done everything. He goes and surfs in Iceland in the winter.
We got a surfer. We got to. Oh yeah, you're gonna going into a this little journey out to sea, this week-long out to sea, diving down, and it's like the depth of like 10 or 11 or 12 Empire State Buildings. So you're gonna want somebody who's done a lot of surfing. Are you fucking nuts? You're gonna want somebody who's done a lot of surfing so he can tell you how fucking freaky it is from a surfer's point of view. No thanks.
But really get people who have a diverse background and then train them and train so that it does come off as a polished and safe operation.
No, so that it comes off as a polished and safe operation. No, I would like it to actually be a polished and safe operation. Now, this might just seem, what I'm talking about here, it might seem frivolous. It might seem flippant. It might seem superficial, except that you would be totally wrong. Because this is the exact same thinking at every level of our government. This is the exact same thinking and throughout all the state governments, throughout all the federal government, all of the bureaucracy, all of the military, who at some point will again, whether you realize it like it or not, be in a war for the survival of the country and the people therein. This is the kind of thinking so that it can come off like it's legitimate. No, I want the people driving the tanks and firing the surface-to-surface missiles and everything else. I want them to actually be competent. If I'm going on this journey, I want the people to actually be competent. Not so that it comes off as though they are competent, but then I can also sort of identify with them because they were a crack whore or something like that, and somehow that makes them more relatable to me.
But really looking beyond that experience in the sub and what's the time on the boat going to be like with these people, and that makes for a great team. We're selling to our clients.
You know what I asked at university is, why do they have great teams in China and in Japan? And you have these businesses, India, doing fabulously, billions and billions and billions of dollars. And yet we're told here in the United States, I'll tell you why, a little hint, it's meme pathogens. It's just another lie to you, to get you to surrender your inheritance, to get you to surrender your future and the future of your children. That's all it is. Well, you can't have a good, strong team unless everybody is different. That's divide and conquer. Open your fucking eyes. That is so blatantly divide and conquer. Everybody's got to be different so we can have a great, strong team. So nobody knows what to expect of the others. You know, one day to the next, it's a total fucking like crapshoot. That's all. It's like Russian roulette, man. Then the team is strong. Of course, the professors at university couldn't explain why those businesses and their militaries were quite strong, even though they weren't wildly diversified with different races of people. They couldn't explain that. What a surprise, because it's just an excuse.
A really enjoyable participatory environment. And that means everybody in our team and our company needs to be an engaging, kind, fun, but highly confident individual.
Engaging, kind. No, I just need them to be competent. So you can see now, where has anti-whiteism gone? Everywhere. It is this effluvium that just has seeped into every orifice of society. The only way you can counteract it is to have the cure suffuse every orifice of society. That's the only way you can beat it. It's not a group of people. It's all people and no people. Because it's a collection of ideas that can be adopted and abandoned. So even here, no white guys. Now, it's really hard for him to get to the no white guys outcome because there's just not a lot of choices out there for hiring. You can't just get on Indeed and be like, need people who know how to build submarines. I mean, before you would get any like actual submariner applications and things like that, you'd be landing on all kinds of like porno sites. But where can they make it happen easily? Everywhere you want to work, everywhere you have to work, everywhere your spouse or partner wants to work or has to work. That's where they can very easily be in charge and say, no white guys. That's why you can go out, like I told you all about my experience, and everybody has this experience again and again, and it happens more and more, where I'm at the sandwich shop, and on the cup, there's like a 24-year-old kind of obese black female. And it said there, we want to congratulate like Takesha Thomas for being the first ever to make captain of the firehouse at that age. That's anti-whiteism. Everybody should want to join in with the one thing that destroys anti-whiteism, and that's the go free method. Gregor says, thank you for this, No White Guild. I used to name them bunch of BS. If you can think and talk. Thanks, brother. Thank you for being brave enough to say that. Those people are, that's their crutch. That's their gatekeeping. So you broke through the gatekeeping to become an active participant in putting it into our victimization. So God bless you for that. Thank you for speaking up. Oh, and Gregor also says, sorry to hear of your friends who betrayed you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, years and many years of being betrayed. All right. I'm going to take a look at your comments, a little bit more of this. There's another short article as well. In the undated Zoom interview with Teledyne Marine, Rush brazenly dismissed the expertise of ex-military submariners. I think we would all like, if you were going to be dependent on, I mean, Jesus, think about this. I was talking about all areas of life and didn't mention healthcare. This is the same thinking going into healthcare. Do you want somebody operating on your mother, on your brother, on your daughter, on your son that is there because of their race or because of the privileged status group that they're in? Or do you want them to be competent? Do you want them to be fantastic? Do you want somebody who's young and they're fresh off so that they have a sheen of expertise? No. You want somebody who's done this thing, done this surgery, done this procedure 10,000 times and could do it with his or her eyes closed. But you're going to get the person who's there based on race, or the person who's there is based on being epicene. You're going to get those people because that's what the anti-whites are doing to society. And complaining about other groups of people, as Gregor is pointing out that he's just busted through their gatekeeping to get to something better, complaining about them does nothing to this. It does nothing to it. There's, it's like master excuse givers. That's all they are. And people who succeed in life are not those who just make excuses for why they didn't. I don't want to be at the hospital with a loved one who has to be operated on, and it ends up being somebody there on the basis of race, or because it's a female, or because it's a part of some victim group or something, privileged group. And then my relative suffers something horrible. And then somewhat Jay Spurg is going to come up and say, hey, it's all the damn Jays. No, I don't want to hear that. I want to prevent this from happening to my loved one. I want to prevent it from happening to me. I want to prevent it from happening to our society. I don't want to hear you come up with the reason, give me the same reason again and again. JK 160, exactly, pointing out that the UK military said they didn't want white pilots. Just want to have non-white pilots. That is discrimination against our people. Quote, when I started the business, one of the things you'll find, there are other sub-operators out there, but they typically have gentlemen who are ex-military submariners. And you'll see a whole bunch of 50-year-old white guys. I wanted our team to be younger and to be inspirational. Well, he wouldn't have pointed out in his objection, he said white and 50. So that means he wants something other than that. So he's saying young, but he's not anti-white enough, or the environment is not anti-white enough for him yet to say just non-white, like you can in South Africa, like you can in the major cities across the West now. You can just say, hey, we just want non-white people. Like you can at all the Fortune 500 companies, the international companies, the biggest companies across the West and within each of the Western countries, they can just openly say, we don't want any white people. They by saying that they want diversity. So they're openly saying, we don't want any white people. He didn't feel like he could actually say that, or maybe he felt already by implication by already saying white and 50. He wants people who are young and inspirational to people other than white people. All right, let me jump over to the other. There he is right there. Typical for the white race, but you want to complain about other races. You know how many white CEOs, executives are out there that will just over the white race, no problem whatsoever? You want to complain about some other race. Let's pull up this Outkick article. Then I'll take a look at what y'all are saying. Trapped OceanGate CEO refused to hire 50-year-old white guys with military experience. We can speculate, and we will, that would potential problems, would have been identified by white guys with experience prior to the fateful trip below the ocean forever, perhaps? We'll never know. But it's probably likely. I mean, it's probably a higher chance that problems would be identified by intelligent, educated men, white men who have paid their dues. Probably. We can rest assured the controller of the missing OceanGate submariner, the controller, was not a 50-year-old white man with military experience. Such a description would have disqualified the operator from the job of visiting the Titanic wreck. And there's the quote from Stockton Rush. JK160 said, I read the controller they used to pilot the ship was a knockoff cheap one. Yeah, it might have been a cheap controller on top of everything else, like the actual game controller. But it takes a lot of genius to take something very complex and then make it simple enough for a monkey to operate it. Just like chuck a chimpanzee in there and it can make it go. That takes a lot of genius. That would not happen with the brightest and wealthiest members of our people if we had a people. They wouldn't say to themselves, I want to make this simple enough to bring in anybody else but white people that have no experience in this field. It just wouldn't, because it wouldn't even occur to them. They would probably, and when you do something like that, you get like this target fixation. When you say to yourself, well, I want to make this thing simple enough so that I can bring in people from victim groups or whatever who have no experience whatsoever and they'll be able to pilot it. You can get target focused, and then you don't have the redundancies that should be in place. There should be something like this, 12 Empire State Buildings deep into the ocean. You should have like 5 redundancies. Oh, number 1 steering isn't working. Let me go to number 2 steering. I mean, what happened on this sub? Was he like, fuck this with the controller, like every kid playing a video game? It's not working. Smash. Now we die. Yeah, you don't regenerate in this one, Rush. You don't regenerate. Rush added, expertise was unnecessary, quote, end quote. So it's just repeating a lot of the same stuff. And what a load of horse shit, too, as well, to talk about wanting to inspire 16-year-olds to be submariners. You're in the business of selling seats to the exorbitantly wealthy. You're not in the business of inspiring 16-year-olds to be submariners, unless maybe you're trying to rub up against one of them. So this sounds to me like just another excuse, just another pretext to white erase white people in the field. And these people, I mean, think about this. These people who want to go this really like superficial, low IQ, mid-wittery route and say, no, it's just this other group of man out there. And so if they weren't doing what they were doing, well, then this guy wouldn't have cut my throat. Wait a second. Are you getting what you just said? Like, the throat cutter is okay? There's not a problem with the throat cutter? You do know that he could do it on his own. You do know that anybody else could inspire him. If he is a mercenary, bought and sold, if your life means that little to him, if the existence and well-being of our countries and our people mean that little to him, that's a us problem. That's a we problem. Is that Amandy, Joe? Hello to you and welcome. Scott is here as well. All right, looks like this is saying, I thought this might have had, wait a second, here's disqualifying a driver with military experience because he's white is quite the edict, particularly given the risk of operating such a vehicle. Translation. Oh, look. Okay, so actually this guy is environmental, social, and governance, ESG, infested OceanGate. So this is where these retarduses are coming out and saying, oh, it's woke. It's the money behind it that wants it. The CEO also wants it. And the people he hire will want it. So ESG scores with the S representing diversity degrade companies for hiring white men of a certain age. I talked about this a couple weeks ago. Anti-whites come up with innumerable metrics to evaluate adherence to anti-whiteism. And it can be anti-whites on a cheerleading squad. We've heard about that before, all the way up to anti-whites at financial institutions. The actual metric, the name of the metric, is irrelevant. The individuals who are inflicting and implementing it is irrelevant. What's relevant is the ideology that animates the human animal to be anti-white and to create metrics or matrices to evaluate adherence or heresy to anti-whiteism, and then reward and punish therein. That's the problem. You see, the way this is written, and I can see how Mid-Wittery gets this wrong. There's a hive of carpenter bees in the garage. They vex you when you're out there, but they don't sting you. I don't think they can sting, but they do chew up the timbers in your garage. So you just get rid of the carpenter bees, and then everything is fine. That is the wrong curative for society. no shit, it would be the wrong curative for society. But it's perfectly understandable that people with lukewarm IQ or even slightly above average IQ would not understand that. It's perfectly like imagine the way a child remedies things. That's how the rest of the vast majority of adults look to me, like children trying to solve their problems around them. That's how it looks to me. And it's a people. So the idea here is this idea that there's a source and you just get rid of the source leaves you chasing ghosts until you chase them from your own grave in the cemetery. That's what it does to your entire life. Because you can never find that which isn't embodied in a single individual or people or entity. You can never find it because it goes from one to the next. The idea here, what would they do with this? What would midwittery do, or even uber midwittery? They would say, well, we just need to have our politicians pass a law that say that ESG can't exist anymore. Okay, dipshits. They'll just rename it the very next minute, even if you succeed, which you won't. They'll just change. They'll just immediately give it a new name, and it'll keep running. Or the project will keep running. Or they'll take a project that evaluates something else at a company, and they will rewrite an evaluation of the anti-whiteism at the company. There's so much more intelligent than the people we need to follow the intelligence on our side, on our defense. So, as for the search, there's as little of a day's worth of oxygen on the vessel if the sub remains intact. And they have heard, banging on that could be banging on the hull of it, which would mean that they're alive and they want to get rescued. But will they get there in time? I hope so, if they're alive. All right, let's see. Looks like nobody is even on entropy. Did anybody try to write test in the question widget on entropy? Tag me in one of the chats so I can see. I'm taking a look at a couple of your comments. Comments in the live stream, comments on the thread. Cool Papa J Magic says in the thread, is that? No, sorry, wrong. Already read but we do have this from Cool Papa J Magic. Making some progress with my anti-white older brother. Last time I saw him, last Sunday, for my belated birthday get-together. Happy birthday to you, good sir. I got him to admit white privilege is a total farce and that the word racist is an attack solely on us. He also agreed that most of our people have been conditioned to believe it's immoral to seek or to speak in our own defense. Those are huge victories. Huge victories. God bless you, man. That's some epic swash for Cool Papa J Magic. More than that, even, I was using the lexicon pretty consistently, and he never stopped me to question or push back at all on any of the concepts. It may not seem like much, but if you'd been there for the conversations we've had before, you would see this is a big step. He was doing stand-up comedy for a while and started getting minor blowback for his material. Then he got kicked out of a club one night for not being anti-white enough. That changed his mind a bit. But what made the greatest difference was the way I was able to lead the conversation in the direction I wanted to go by using what I've learned from the Go Free method. God bless Jason and this community. God bless you, brother. That's epic swash from Cool Papa J Magic. He finishes up with this. Very recently, I saw a border crosser with her children at Winco. It's a grocery store chain in the Western U.S., paying for a giant cart of fancy groceries with food stamp card, then proceeding to walk over to the lottery ticket machine and put in well over 100. I've personally witnessed that. I have seen that myself. I have seen a giant carts full of food, good for them, feeding their family, by way of the welfare system. I hope they get off of it and pay back into it. And then have money to buy lottery tickets. And even worse, I have seen such people go out to spectacular vehicles after paying with food stamps. Do you all remember? It was like 10 years ago. There was a woman, I believe it was a white woman, that worked at a welfare office. Was it like in North Carolina? Maybe it was in North Carolina. And she quit. And it was a big scene because I think she wrote on her social media, and she was talking about all of these welfare recipients living off the public dole and what she was saying. And then she would look out in the parking lot and see them getting into Escalades and like $80,000 vehicles that were parked right beside like her $18,000 vehicle that she worked for a living. He says, I try not to get angry at the person because it's really the fault of our anti-white system, but it's just sick that my father worked his whole life paying into Social Security. Now he's drawing from the system and barely scraping by, while these people break in, don't even speak the language, have a bunch of children, and they're having their lives paid for by our hard work. Then on top of that, we have to constantly hear about how self-serving and abusive the white race is. We are constantly told we have to give up more. Yep. Cool Papa J Magic, a champion extraordinaire. God bless you, man. Epic swash there with your brother. Vincent writes here, the way the cult nats get so angry when someone points out you popularized anti-white makes me think they know it's true. I love it. Vincent, well written, good sir. They know it's true. They know it's true. They know it's Team White Wellbeing that did this. That's why so many of them go out of their way to try to ignore it. So many of them go out of their way to try to claim that something else is the case. Absurd, and it's hogwash. We will still be here pushing long after, pushing the lexicon, pushing the dialectics, long after those people have I don't know, used maybe their Jay Spurging excuse for the 700 millionth time. Promethean Kitchen writes here, oh, and I've also been in the comments section and live chat section of this Catholic opinion show called The Rundown, and one of the main guys, who's a white guy, who's the host of the show, finally said the word anti-white to describe what is going on in the UK after I brought it up a few times in live chat and in the comments section. But it finally took. That is fantastic, brother. Let's give it up. Cool Papa J Magic, 07s, and Promethean Kitchen. That's the kind of swash. And that's what we read here, folks. That's what we celebrate here, is when people go out into these communities. So now this is a content creator on this show called The Rundown, Catholic content creator. Promethean Kitchen is over there focusing on using the lexicon and dialectics, 5 key concepts and otherwise, meme curatives from the Go Free method. And now the guy who runs the show has picked up at least one of the key concepts. And I have no doubt that Promethean Kitchen will continue to work, will continue to drop these concepts in the live chat. And this guy will be picking it up, spreading it to all of his listeners. And then just like the Lego community spreading it, just like the ultimate fighting community spreading it from our operators. We are the special forces of white well-being. You got these other folks out there will say, it's just coming from everywhere. Why? I just looked over. It's coming from this Catholic on his show, and it's coming from these Lego people, and it was even this fighter. So you, Team White Well-Being, didn't do a thing. Well, you. Let's meet up somewhere. Let's meet up and we can talk about how we didn't do a thing, you can scumbag. God bless you, brother. Finishes up with this. Speaking about the Daily Wire, since people have been working on it, Matt Walsh, working on Matt Walsh from our community, I've decided to work on the comment section for Michael Knowles to try to get him to say anti-white. God, man, that is glorious. You, sir, are a champion. Big salute to you. And I will fight to the very end to not let people try to steal the credit away from you and other champs just like you. The hard work you're doing. Man, what a hero. We have a comment from John. John writes here, for those trying to spread the lexicon via YouTube, I see somebody asking for evidence. You're getting evidence. If this is what you're asking for evidence for, you can look back at the videos and we have comment after comment after comment of people saying, I'm focusing on this person. I'm trying to get them to say this. And in the subsequent week, a week after, month after, 2 months after, the person says the exact thing. That's the evidence. So if that's what you're asking for, you better be willing to accept it, because if you don't immediately accept it, it'll demonstrate that you're not operating in good faith. If you're talking about something else, so be it. For those trying to spread the lexicon via YouTube comments of other channels, for example, I have a tip or suggestion. John does here. So there you can find, that's what we're talking about here. That's what our groups talk about. Our solo activists, we have group activists, group operations, all of it planned out, playbook, military strategy application for our victimization. I know you have all that evidence, but show me evidence. I want to see the moment that the content creator read the comment. So I want to have a video of the content creator reading the comment and then deciding. I want to be able to see into his skull and into his brain and be able to see that he's made the decision now to use the concept. I hope that's not what you're saying, bro. Slots is here. Great to see you, brother. From my experience, it helps in terms of getting more reach, likes and replies, to post your comment as early as possible after said video is uploaded. This is a good reason to set up notifications so you can be alerted early on. See the video and post a relevant comment and have the maximum amount of eyes on it. After a video is a day old, most people have already moved on with their lives, and your comments won't be seen by nearly as many people as it would if you were one of the first commenters. Seems obvious, but just wanted to point it out so our efforts can be maximized. God bless you, man. We love you. Great John Garrison. I got to start sharing these as well as, I guess. Lovely Porch says, I remember when the term anti-white was first spreading, a lot of people would say anti-white racism, even in the white sympathetic sphere. You don't hear that anymore. What caused them to drop the R word? Well, obviously, it was the people who made the biggest fuss about dropping the R word. Jason and his community. Let's give it up for Lovely Porridge. Yeah, we were the folks going nuts. And remember how it annoyed people? And now it's just anti-white. Now it's just so, how did that happen? You're looking at the community. That's how it happened. Thomas Jones writes here, the healing magic of Jason, the white wizard of the West, is spreading fast. And yes, I use the lexicon at every opportunity. God bless you, Thomas. Another hero in service to white well-being. Big epic salutes and swash to you, my brother. And I want you all to keep sharing your suggestions for each other about how to reach content creators. About how to reach content creators, about how to make the maximum, have the maximum effect spreading the lexicon. We do this in our activist groups. They share ideas. But for the general team white well-being and those solo actors out there, they are there waiting for your piece of advice. And maybe that will make the big difference for them. Maybe they're already effective. And for each different content creator, like the guy who speaks with Matt is older. Matt obviously has I give respect to senior citizens and their wisdom and etc. There are going to be different people, different content creators. So if you're out there and you're working on a content creator out there and it's not catching on, that he or she's not picking it up, maybe you have to tweak a few things. But then again, also, maybe you are just not, your avatar, your persona is not the right avatar and persona. Maybe you got to rework that. Or if you don't feel like reworking that, move on to a different content creator and spread the lexicon there, the 5 key concepts there. And then all of you as well, when you have success doing so, share those testimonials. Share them in the threads. You can email me them. I get a bunch of email, but share them in the threads so that even if I don't get to share it across my other social media, even if I don't get to yours, that particular one or a different one, others will read it in the thread. So God bless you for doing that. Where are we? All right. Take another look at the take one more look at, okay, Cash App is blank. And let's check Entropy. Entropy might not be working, I guess. Nobody's over there. We'll see what's going on with it. Well, appears to be they have all their permissions. Ah. Is that it or is that old? All right, folks, get out your raucous emojis, please. Please and thank you for the one and only Dude Bro moment. 007's throw gems at this man's feet, drop crowns on his head. He has shown up and he writes, for white well-being, KIP. Keep it Promethean, keep it pristine. And with it, a $50 testimonial. A $50 testimonial dollars. Dude Bro moment. God, what a Herculean champion he is. I love it when there are folks out there who are cool. These folks out there changing the minds of their brothers, changing the minds of content creators, financially gifting, demonstrating that they are in this to win it. All right. God bless you, dude, bro, moment. Thank you, everybody else, for celebrating. Thumbs up. Franklin sent a bunch of like speeding hearts. Cool Papa J Magic in there with the swashbuckling flags and the thumbs up. Miss Jess Horst is with us. Great to see you. Diamonds from First Last. Samuski sent some crowns. Thank you so much. We love Dude Bro Moment. I'm pretty sure that if time travel, let me rephrase this. If I could travel through time, but no one else could, somehow magically at some of those meetings that I held and nobody came to, Dude Bro Moment would show up. It's already happened. It's back in time. I didn't know of him. He didn't know of me. But somehow, Dude Bro Moment would show up that day. God bless you, man. Big, big salutes. It's a Dude Bro Moment. Over on D Live, Spartan says, a lot of expert older white guys are going to retire. They will discriminate against whites. Both will cause problems in running society. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well said. And looks like Odyssey is blank. All right. So it's now showing, I had to reload it. It's now showing 3 people. Slotz is here and saying he was already there. They're just seeing the laggy latency of them coming later. Gotcha. It's the lagging latency. He was there. He was there in spirit. Oh, Cuddle Munchkin has arrived. She says she's here but baking with no white guilt. I hope it's delicious. Popcorn Power says the entropy question widget is not accepting submission. So something's wrong with the damn thing. We're going to have to figure it out. The entropy chat widget appears to accept my comment, but if you don't see my chat comment over there, then it must be broken. Thank you for trying there, Popcorn Power. Yeah, there's nothing here for me. So we're going to have to get that fixed. Hopefully I can get on top of it tonight. JK160 says, I thought the stream was great tonight. Thank you. I appreciate that, brother. Hyperborean Dream celebrating. East Vantoni celebrating. Thank you, sir. I haven't gifted in a while because I'm broke right now. You don't have to financially gift. You're gifting the entire Western kind. And you just keep it up, man. And I will carry you on my shoulders if I can. We will celebrate you. He says he continues your health problems and many doctor visits. So I kicked into high gear with the activism. Still would like to do more. Oh, bro, we all would like to do more, man. But you don't ever have to gift a penny. If you are out there wallpapering, if you are out there focusing on different content creators, if you are out there focusing on law firms, focusing on, you know how many different places that Elaine Sabatino has brilliantly reached out to? So we're hitting up law firms, we're hitting up lots of political offices, hitting up content creators, obviously, tens of millions, hundreds at this point, hundreds of millions of people have heard of the key concepts. I was sitting down because of us, because of you all. I was sitting at my table and the other day, I was just marveling over the fact you really have to kind of pinch yourself if you are on Team White Wellbeing. You have to pinch yourself because it's like we have changed the language for Western civilization on planet Earth. And we're regular folks. extraordinary lives that we lead. But we are having to pull ourselves up out of these quagmires of do-nothings, of belly-aching complainers, jay-spurging, subversive gatekeepers. We're having to pull ourselves up out of that. And we were smart enough and industrious enough to find ways to make this happen. And what an indictment that is against the rest of the white sympathetic sphere that are backstabbing, that are throat slitting, that are going around to organizations and saying, no, don't let that Jason guy speak. He's a bit too good. He's a bit too good when he speaks publicly. And people start listening. And how are we going to continue to just make money and continue to be seen as the really bright people here? How are we going to do that if that Team White Well-Being is able to get out there and rock the world, actually keeping us down? And we still did this. You can turn on mainstream media and hear our concepts. We did this. White Wolf is here. Great to see you. If you would like to be a part of this, jump in. Feel good about yourself for once. You know, you got to work for a living. You got some shit boss. You got to pay your shit bills. The odds that any of us are going to suddenly be fabulously wealthy and be able to just go on vacations your whole life and not have anything to do and have your life mean nothing is zero, because it's so close to zero. Why not be the protagonist in our story? Why not live every moment of your life like it matters? Why not say to yourself when you're sitting on the couch watching some crappy television show full of anti-whiteism that if this were my movie, if this were my book where I'm the protagonist, this part of the movie or book would be wretched. I'm sitting on my ass watching this garbage anti-whiteism. Why not say that to yourself and then get up, make yourself better, build up that base from which you have to live your life so that you can do bigger and better things to combat anti-whiteism. Post stickers, post comments, create memes, tell people that this is the place to come if they want to make change in their lives. Why not live that life instead? It seems like a lot more, you're going to be on your deathbed. I heard this the other day. I'll share it again. I told Fernell, and you see various iterations of this sort of like little motivational story. And this one I thought was really interesting, because the guy said, imagine that you're on your deathbed. You're breathing your last couple of breaths. There are only a few left. You're old. You're desiccated. He didn't say that word. I did. You're worn out. And you know the end is upon you. And suddenly an angel appears. And the angel says to you, if you would rather not die right now, if you would rather go back to the moment in life that you are hearing this little parable, whatever age that is, would you go? How valuable is your life to you now in those final seconds? How infuriating does it seem to sit on your ass when looking from those final seconds? How many times will you, how fervently will you feel, or how good will you feel about just giving excuses by blaming Jewish people or blaming this group or that group? How good will that feel? Will it be okay in your final seconds? Or do you want to be able to be in that bed? I know that's how I want to be at the end. Grateful, gratified, and ready to go, because I will know that I had done all I could do, and that by God, we rocked planet Earth. We rocked Western civilization. That's where I want to be in those final moments. Ms. Rocker Red, hello to you, sister. She says, I heard anti-whiteism from Mark Dice first. Then I found no white guilt from Cool Papa J Magic. That's awesome. You know, that's going to happen a lot. We talked about that before. We talked about it a few times. That there will be folks who will hear the key concepts from big content creators. And that's one of the things that folks get worried about. They're like, well, why would they come here if they hear it? Well, you see, that happens. When people hear this white magic, these spells of white magic, when they hear them being used and they immediately identify that as a curative contagion because they want to have it, they want to hold it and use it for our defense. When they find the trail that leads to the source of those things, oh, you better believe they'll come. You better believe it. It is a build it and they will come scenario. Thank you for saying that. And great to have you here. Franklin says the co-host on Amala Ekpundabi's show said last stream that, quote, diversity just means less white people, close quote. More and more people are catching on, says Franklin. Absolutely. Because we made it acceptable to say that, because we made it moral to say that, because with the Go Free method, we have the moral high ground. This is exactly, we're not coming after the fact and saying, or painting a target around what's happening. We've been talking about this is how it will work for years, and then doing it for years. And here we are. It's always good to introduce the people you know to those you want to reach. You never know if one of your peers is better able to reach someone than you are, writes Samuski. So true. You never know. Anti-White Goblin says a person it would be smart to reach out to is Brett Cooper. She has a young and growing audience. Who is she? Is she on YouTube? Tag me. I don't know who that is. I even show up in chats and will drop the key concepts. Taking a look back at what y'all are saying before we get out of here. I got to get ready for this conference. We got a flight. I got to get ready. We'll try to make as much ground, cover as much ground as possible while we have the opportunity. Oh, first last. You shouldn't be giving the Submariner story so much oxygen. It will reinvigorate the I can't breathe slogan. Does anybody know about the carbon dioxide issue inside the sub? That one. Not all subs. Sky Duke is here. Says that almost all of a particular group of non-whites that are in his unit in the Army have been in prison. Jeez. Yeah, well, that's another thing that a lot of people overlook is that a lot of border crossers, they join the military to get citizenship, and then the whole family is citizens as a consequence. So And they happily take them. I was very surprised. I did not know that you could take people who didn't give a shit about your country. LG is here. Great to see you, sister. CL is here. Welcome and hello to you. Anglo-America says, good luck with that conference. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, we're going to try to reach a bunch of good people. Hopefully, folks that will be, they are folks that are away from the explicit white sympathetic sphere. And that's really good because we've discovered that even the best among them are horrible backstabbers, throat cutters. And so they don't feel the same. I went in there. That's where I'm not always right. And this was an area that I was definitely not right. I thought that these people, because we were like this, persecuted and oppressed and exploited people, and we were, and the majority of Westmen, of whites, not getting it, not realizing, I have no way of talking back, that those of us who were kind of coming together month after month, week after week, year after year, meetings, conferences, cookouts, etc., coming together, that everybody saw each other as on the same team. And that when you have somebody on your team in sports, where you're getting the analogy from, if somebody is doing good, then you want more of that. If somebody's on a streak, you want more of it. You want them to go down the field and get the touchdown. Because you want the team to win. So I would make these arguments, and I was totally ingenuous because I was persuading or attempting to persuade people who were persuaded and then rejected because it would not benefit them somehow. And so all along they would say, without a legitimate argument in return, that'll never work, Jason. That will never work. We can't even brook you having time to tell people about this sort of thing. Now they turn around, many of them. Well, meanwhile, those people were going behind my back and undermining me. No, don't have him speak. And then they turn around after we've done it and say, you didn't do it. So that hurts my heart, honestly. That hurts my heart that there could be people that are this mercenary. So the explicit white sympathetic sphere, apparently there's, where are they showing up to say, holy God, that Jason guy and Team White Wellbeing been pushing this stuff for years, and now it's showing up everywhere. They've been making arguments about how it can work, and now it's showing up everywhere. You would think they would come. If I knew somebody in the white sympathetic sphere that said, Jason, look, I and my community are going to push, what's a really big word? Floxenosinide hilipilification. And we're going to give it a new definition. And it's going to revolutionize things. And I said, oh, no, that ain't going to work. I can't see how that's going to work. I hear your argument, but I don't get it. And then years later, I see floxenosinide hilipilification showing up in magazines, in newspapers, in interviews. I would immediately say, oh, my God, that guy was right. And then I would be seeking him out. How did you do this? Tell me more about it. What you were saying that was going to happen happened. But nobody is doing that in the white sympathetic sphere. No one. So what kind of people are we dealing with? What kind of people we got to get away from, I guess. Sherry says we need Jason to get on more streams on big channels. I agree. We are occupied. Let me read the rest of what she says. Like Mark Dice, Salty Cracker, Tim Pool, that would be epic. How can we get that to happen? That's a great question, Sherry. And it's actually not an easy one to answer. But none of this has been easy. The the issue is, I mean, depending upon the content creator that we're talking about, you might have somebody who sees themselves as a competitor for profit, for sex, for aggrandizement, and so they're not going to have anything to do with me. Others, you might think like with Mark Dice, for example, he could very well be concerned about losing his channel, which is his livelihood, his ability to reach people. And so he doesn't want to do it. Like, he might be more interested in appearing with me or mentioning me if we became more popular in circles that are not associated with in any way with Aunt Nattery or any of that stuff, any J-spurging. Then he might feel, okay, well, the reputation is firm enough that if I mention him or I appear with him, that people won't be able to just show up and say, well, that's a Nazi that he's dealing with. Get rid of Mark Dice. So he's a possibility. Salty Cracker, for example, is making money. He's got a Hispanic wife, and he fell in love with her, and that's the thing. They got a family, good for them. But if he's going to be making his money off of disgruntled and disaffected white people, and what he does is he doom documents and with comedy, and doom dissects with comedy, which is useful, as I've explained for us here, how we take some of that and then we use it to as a fulcrum to share the key concepts and meme curatives and etc. But you got to think from his perspective. He's going to look at me and he's going to say, that's the real deal. That's like the genuine thing. Like if you were going to those old time Westerns and like those Western shows, and you could see these fake cowboys, right? Like they do it for show. They get out there and they lasso for show and they quick draw for show. But then you had the opportunity to meet an actual cowboy, Doc Holliday, or, whatever. People would be going to that show. And so that might be a reason that he would never even consider it under any circumstance. Tim Pool, we've reached out to him before. And I don't know with what would have been a great show for him. And who knows what the objection there is. But we are in like this, we're in this in-between world, if you will, this in-between dimension. Because we're not J-spurgs, but we're also not going to use the lexicon or the locutions of anti-whites and therefore make of ourselves their victims. And so that's confusing for them. And at the same time, again, with the audience, if they're offering something that is superficially what we give in reality, then they could see that as a threat as well. So we have to keep thinking on this. We have to keep reaching out and making friendships, because ultimately friendships can overcome this kind of thing. Like somebody who's a good friend of Tim Pool and who says, wow, these people are doing this, that person might be able to use that friendship to say, look, have him on. And then he ends up having us on. But it's great to be asking that question. How can it be done? Because then the mind, the human brain, searches for ways. We just have to keep asking that question and throwing out ideas and mixing up the ideas with each other, seeing what comes out the other end. And then we'll get people who have contacts and the rest. I mean, you think like Odyssey, for example. Odyssey doesn't share my streams anywhere with anybody. But what if we reached somebody who was a friend of what's his name that owns it? Well, maybe then we get an audience with him. Maybe he decides, okay, let's push him on the platform then. And then everything changes. So that's what we have to do. Gregor says, can I order stickers? I don't know how. Well, if you go over to nowhiteguiltcollectibles.com, nowhiteguiltcollectibles.com, you will see stickers there available. And you, of course, will place those stickers only where it is lawful to do so. But if you find stickers anywhere that you would like to take a photo of to share with us, that would be cool too. Linda says you should check on the submersible status. Yeah, we can do a check. Let's see. Did they find it? Are they going to try to rescue the people? Want to give a big thank you to Mike over here on Entropy, financially gifting $5 with 07. Thank you, good sir. All right, looks like we have a 46-minute-old update. Search effort is up to 2.5 miles deep. Wow. Coast Guard says. The search is focused on an area where underwater noises were detected. The Coast Guard said Wednesday, noting that the effort had so far yielded negative results. Not good. You know what else could be problematic for the search is that the ocean is this three-dimensional space wherein the sub doesn't necessarily need to be floating on the sea floor. It perhaps could be somewhere in between. And it just is an unfathomable amount of, would you call it, space. The frantic search to find the missing Titanic tourist submersible expanded exponentially Wednesday as crews canvassed a surface area twice the size of Connecticut and 2.5 miles deep. That's amazing. Thank you, White Race. The search is focused on an area where Canadian aircraft detected underwater noises Tuesday and again Wednesday. You know, my gut feeling was, as I understand, I could have incomplete information, but I understood that the protocol was they checked in every 15 minutes. So essentially just the ship on the surface saying you're good and the sub saying we're good. Every 15 minutes. That's the protocol. And then suddenly no more responses. So my first thought was implosion. And I hope none of the family members are listening. It might not be the case, but my first thought was implosion, because of course then they would not be able to respond. I hope that's not what happened. The sounds prompted redirected searches by remotely operated vehicles, the U.S. Coast Guard said early Wednesday, noting that the effort had so far yielded negative results. They have less than 40 hours of oxygen left. But again, is anybody talking about the carbon dioxide? That's the latest update I see on it. Did you find something else, Linda? Escape is with us. Great to see you, brother. So yeah, everybody, keep your eyes open for me to maybe do a stream from my phone, which I know is just so awesome for you all. The quality is so great. But might do like a little stream here or there. Oh, Franklin helped out. Thank you for that, brother. Stu Peters would be so legit, and that we might be able to do, or Lauren Witzke show. No white guilt. I'm going to email them, says Sherry. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. It's going to be some person writing themselves in as a hero into our story that gets me on a big show and gets a lot more attention. And we need to be in an audience that are not susceptible to the slanders by the J Spurgs, because the J Spurgs have just lost it. They are the consummate subversive gatekeepers. That's all they are. And every time they get wind that I'm going to show up or somebody's considering me, they immediately start going after. So if you have an audience that is immune to that, if you have an audience that's like, so what? We don't want to exterminate a whole group of people or whatever, then it won't matter how much they slander me. Is somebody called Peanut Butter here? Hello to you. Oh yeah, Peanut Butter Spoon. Hello, welcome. Hello and welcome. Owning Anti-White Gomblin says, do you think Joe Rogan would be a good person to email? Absolutely. 100%. You look at the kinds of people that all of these different folks have associated with, have interviewed. They've interviewed people who think that they talk to angels, or that their children talk to angels, or that there's a base under Antarctica. I mean, just Looney Tunes stuff. So why not something real? Why not something clean cut? Why not something original? Why not a community that's actually changing the world? All right. Have another look here. Oh. A man. We have truly dignified and honorable people. And as you all know, Slots is one of the most dignified and honorable of all. And when somebody is pulling up short somewhere, they'd like to do more, Slots will step in to help them out in their name. Slots financially gifts today, $7 over here on Cash App. And he says, in the name of Cool Papa J Magic. What a class act, Slots. God bless you, brother. That is fantastic. Cool Papa J Magic says, broke, can't financially gift, but he's doing all this wonderful, epic swashbuckling. But Slots says, I'm not going to let that go down. I'm going to step in and help this guy out. Totally different community. I wish I'd met y'all in the beginning. Because I met a lot of people who were very friendly to your face. Jeez. But then they were awful behind your back. Franklin says something here. Rogan has actually interacted with GoFree indirectly. He retweeted a Keith Woods thread. The last tweet on the thread used the term anti-whiteism. Magnificent. So you see how this curative contagion spreading exactly as I said it would. I swear, for y'all that have heard me before it started happening, that heard me say, this is what's going to happen because of security of contagion. I mean, think about it. I told Millennial Woes that. You can go all the way back to when we were first streaming. And it's exactly what I spelled out. And none of that was happening. That's awesome. So then it reaches a couple layers. People pick it up and adopt. What have I said? And what was I saying at the beginning of the stream? We need to suffuse. And that's what that means, like percolate like smoke into everywhere. And that's exactly how the Go Free method was designed, with intent of forethought to have happen. And that's what I've been saying all along. So I made these cases. You can think of like some of the biggest names in the white sympathy. I made these cases to them. No, that's not going to happen. And then they go behind my back and say, don't let him speak. Anglo-America says, I read Crucible. I like how you framed anti-whiteism as a religion by illustrating that someone like MLK was an idol of the anti-white religion. Yeah, that is how that persona, irrespective of whoever and whatever he was, good, bad, indifferent, immaterial. This is what he had become in that environment. You can see it in many other environments, but it was in seventh grade, 11, 12, that I said that I was like, look, this is like the figure. And then in eighth grade, I figured out 12, 13, that this is just the face of the moment. There's this occupying evil spirit that will don any voice, will don any face to victimize white people. Sloth said, haha, true. That'd be fun. That'd be really funny if while I was praising you, you were like, true. Sloths is a class act. True. That's awesome. Gregor says, sorry again. Well, you don't have to. I mean, I appreciate you apologizing for what these others have done. It harmed all of us. Think about this. And I used to lament this big time for years, because I would see the results in people's lives, and they would come to me like the win at meetings. I would be able to share either personally, or I held the meeting so I could speak, or I was able to get a speaking slot, and I had people implement the Go Free method all the way up into the beginning of streaming and making videos, and seeing the huge results throughout all those years. And I would think to myself, there's no use in doing this sort of activity. So I stopped it. But I would think to myself, just imagine if all the way back, just for example, to Bush Jr.'s first term, right, 2000, 2001, imagine if people in the white sympathetic sphere had decided to not stab me in the back and not prevent me from speaking at conferences, heed my arguments, not try slandering me and everything else. Think about where we would be today. Think about it. All that we've achieved in so many years, and how it's just like a hockey stick graph. Think about if that happened in 2001, 2000. Mestizo's here. Great to see you, brother. Ursa Major, hello. Yeah, if y'all got any friends who are content creators. I'm going to tell you what. We are succeeding. We, as Team White Wellbeing, we are a team. Think of each other as team members. We're a team. If anybody in here betrays the team, you're gone. But anybody doing good, we raise up. Anybody who's got a talent, we encourage, we facilitate the talent, because we are Team White Wellbeing. We're recapturing our destiny. We're not going to stop. There's going to be no stopping. And as we recapture more and more of our destiny, it will be the truth of history that is related to coming generations. And that truth is going to include how we were treated by the white sympathetic sphere. Slots is saying true, real, based. All right. Well, yeah. Latest update on the sub. It's still this one, I think. What to know about missing Titan submersible and the race to find it. So this is also just under an hour old. So nothing new. Regrettably, they still don't know. And I think the only way that they would be able to save them, if they are alive and if they're on, say, the ocean floor, is for a cable to be sent down from a ship. And you're talking about miles worth of cable. But that's okay, because if they have the equipment for digging oil wells and all of this sort of business, they go even deeper. So they have the equipment available, and it's there, and they find them, and they can get the cable down there to them quickly enough, and either an unmanned sub or a manned sub can get to them and hook the cable on. They can begin winching them up. But they got to get them up, obviously, within the amount of time that they have air left, if the carbon dioxide hasn't become poisonous inside, if they have a way to wash it effectively. I don't know how that would even be. I'm not a submariner, so I don't know. I'm asking questions. When they get them to the surface, though, unless I'm wrong, and I could be wrong, they can't just like pop open a hatch and go, kind of a thing. I believe that the sub then has to be put on the ship that it's launched from, and then they have the tools to open the hatch from the outside. There is no opening the hatch on the inside. So if, for example, they were able to surface themselves as a consequence of some sort of failure on the ship, on the sub, they could still suffocate if the vessel isn't found, because they can't open the hatch. As I understand it, the hatch is something that is closed and opened from the outside on the mothership, if you will. All right. Yeah, no, nothing new. But that was a good idea, Linda, because who knows? News is coming in. Nothing over there. Oh, over here on Odyssey. 07. Some raucous emojis. Please break them out, folks. We'll bring over Mini-Me. We'll celebrate as well. $20 financial gift over there on Odyssey from Humongous. Thank you, Humongous. And he writes here, it's my turn to do more for Team WWB. Oh, man, that is cool. Heck yeah. And then he says, Helios Abbott is a humongous swashbuckling man of the West. Yes, he is. So cool. Thank you so much. Over there on Odyssey, $20 financial gift. Thank you, brother. Humongous. And thank Cool Papa J Magic celebrating. East Van Tony celebrating. Hyperborean Dream. Cool Papa J Magic again. First Last. The Finn Slots. It's a peace flag, not a battle flag. Celebrating. Thank you. Yep, we got to celebrate. When our team scores, we got to roar. We got to roar when our team score. Miss J Horse, thank you very much. All right, I don't think I missed anybody. So once again, there will be no going free this Sunday, as I will be at a conference. I probably will stream one or more times while I'm on this trip to this conference and or there. And then we'll be back next week. We will have normal roll-ins, roll-in shorts. And y'all can give me ideas in the threads for roll-in shorts if you would like to see a specific subject covered, maybe. And then I might be able to do that as well. And then next week as well, we will have Jill Colton on. So we look forward to that. That's a fun conversation. She's a great gal, really funny, very smart, and was a former broadcaster on Canadian mainstream television. We've had her on maybe 3 times before. So she's going to be making her triumphant return. But I think every time that we had her on, I think it was with Jared George. So this time, if that's the case, then this time it'll be the first time with just herself and yours truly. So awesome to see you all here tonight. And remember, we got to keep pushing because it's just us. It's just us. But we're making that happen. Every time you get dispirited, every time you feel down, every time you feel pessimistic, you just look at what we've already accomplished. And look at how fast that's happened. Look at how many people and how quickly we're normalizing it. How quickly our story is being normalized and made the story for everyone who's going to have to speak to us. And it changes everything. All of these very bright people, commentators who like socially comment or politically comment or spiritually comment, everything that they then, all of the derivative ideas, the conclusions that they make then are infused with a new collection of thoughts, a new collection of concepts because of what we're doing, which changes that conversation irrevocably as long as we keep pushing. And then as long as we keep pushing, we'll get the credit we deserve. Until then, roll out.